Welcome to the Oklahoma Dispensary Roadshow presentation. My name is Brent Doherty. I'm a key program manager here with Metrc. I work with Oklahoma or OMMA to help implement the Metrc system and maintain it to make sure it works according to their regulations. I also want to just note that we do have some OMMA folks in the room here. If all the way in the back there, you see them. We have some OMMA folks in the room here that are listening in. So just at the outset, I want to quickly mention, feel free to ask any questions you have. If you're in person, if you are online, feel free to drop those questions in the question box. We are here strictly to talk about Metrc functionality, but if you do have questions on the OMM that were more regulatory based, then we'll flag those for OMMA to take note of and answer if they can. If not, then they'll just take a note of that, and they will be putting out some additional documentation to explain to answer any of the questions that we're unable to answer today. I also want to note that we are recording these sessions, and we will be posting these or some of these sessions to the public once we complete this week. And we'll also, as on Metrc side, we'll be posting additional documentation here based on any of the questions we get from these that we want to add some more clarity to. We'll put out some bullets and material for that as well. Alrighty, so we'll jump into it now. All right, so for the agenda today, we'll do a quick introduction, which I already kind of went through here, but we'll talk about who is Metrc as a company. So we'll talk about the company of Metrc. We will talk about what Metrc is, so Metrc, the system itself, so the actual platform you will be using. We'll talk about how that works, and then we're going to walk through the different aspects of the system that you'll be using as a dispensary. So there's the admin functionality, which is how you set up your account, add your employees, your locations, your strains, your items, all of those kinds of things. I'll talk about tags and tracking, what you need the tags for, how to order those tags, and then and how those additionally, we'll also talk packages. So that's going to be really what you're dealing with here. So you have those packages that you're selling out of, and then there's going to be transfers, which will be pretty straightforward. And then the waste disposal, so just creating anything that you're going to have to move to a waste disposal facility to be destroyed. We'll talk about the sales aspect of it. And then we will finish with integration with other software, which I'm sure as a dispensary, you're probably very aware of integrators and things like that. So we'll talk about just kind of some information we have on our side for those integrators, and just some helpful advice, I'd say, as far as when you're dealing with those integrators and trying to pick one as your third-party system. And then we'll finish with training support. If you haven't already become familiar with our support team, we really encourage that you reach out to them if you have any questions or run into any issues. They're really great. They're really great at assisting, and if they can't answer right away, we will get an answer back to you. They'll just flag it, and we'll get triaged, and we will eventually get an answer for you. All right, who is Metrc? So Metrc actually started as a company called Franwell in 1993. So they were doing they've been doing the supply chain process and tracking for over 25 years, over 30 years in computer technologies, and specifically in RFID over 15 years. In 2013, we started our journey into the cannabis space, or the marijuana space, with Colorado in 2013. We have developed everything as far as our software design, the digital hardware, solutioning of the architecture, and our help and support team. Those are all in-house. So we don't actually outsource any of those different items. So like I said, in 2013, we started with Colorado, and since then we've picked up several more states. And these numbers are probably already outdated, to be honest with you. But it's really just to show you that we do have a lot of experience with the industry and partnering with regulatory agencies to provide the reporting tool that can support a well-regulated market. And the last thing I just note there is that we do have an uptime better than 99.9%. So we do have very rarely ever have outages. And if we do have outages, they're usually scheduled maintenance, and we'll announce those beforehand. So what is Metrc? So we just talked about the company of Metrc, and now we're going to talk about the system Metrc, which you're probably more familiar with. So scope. So Metrc is a compliance management tool. That's really just a way for regulatory bodies to be able to have oversight in the industry and be able to effectively regulate. One thing I'll note here is that we are a cloud-based online solution, so you don't have to purchase any hardware to use Metrc. All you need is computer and internet access, and you should be good to go. Okay, so just to kind of clarify a few things about the system. So we are a regulatory reporting tool. So we really are just focused on the marijuana specifically, and then additionally to that, monitoring that and allowing you to report on what you're doing. Some of the things we don't do. So what we don't do is we're not a materials resource planning tool. So we're not going to track your water usage or your electricity or any other materials outside of what those the cannabis or marijuana products are, or infused or plants. Also an ERP system, so we're not going to track your finances. We're not going to, you're not going to be able to use this to do some of the core business processes you might have. So those are kind of areas that if you are interested in that, you may need to use a different system. But as far as anything that is related to cannabis, we have Metrc. So how is Metrc made up of? So there's two sides to Metrc. There's the industry and regulatory side. We do have the mobile application, which go into the secure web services. Then we have the external transfer system, which is the third-party vendors. So we have the API, the secure web services, and the web UI. Those all go into the database, and then the reporting can be pulled out for the state or the state regulators to use to inform legislative decisions, or also identify any non-compliant behavior or potential criminal activity. All right, so how is Metrc built? So Metrc is actually, since we do have a lot of states, we do actually have dedicated server space for every state we bring up. So your data is not in any way touching any other states. And it does have, it is real time with the data backup and failover. But an easier way to think of it is if you think of the Oklahoma marijuana industry as a office building. The OMMA actually owns that building, so they hand out the keys to the different office spaces, but they're also able to go into any office they want to. You know, they can look in wherever they want, as it is their building. If you want to think of us, we are the facilities maintenance staff, so we go around, make sure that the hallways are swept, the water's running, the lights aren't turning off. So we really are there to just as a way to support both the regulators and the industry here to be a successful program. All right, now we're going to talk about how Metrc works. So Metrc's organized into two sides, like I had mentioned. We have the government agency side, and then we have the industry side. So obviously you're not going to be working with the government agencies, you'll be working with the industry side. The flag here for the government agency side is that they can't put anything really into Metrc, so they can't change anything within your account. The only thing that they're really pushing across to us is the licensing files. So we will get the licensing fee come in. So anything with Thentia that you have, as far as your address, those things, all that information will be passed to us. But as far as what's going on in your actual account, they can't change any of that information on their end. As far as your account, your side, so the industry, you're going to be really focused. So everything starts with the immature, the cultivations. Your immature goes to vegetative, and then back to flowering, harvested, packaged. Once it gets packaged, that package tag will follow with it throughout the life cycle of that package, even if it gets transferred to other facilities. So if you do get to receive, as dispensaries specifically, if you do receive a package from a cultivator or a processor, you're not going to have to retag that or anything like that. That's going to it's going to stay with it, so you can just sell out of that package. But that's, at the end of the day, the end of that life cycle of those packages is the sale. All right, Sam, personal profile. So if you're in person, that means you have already done this, but if you are online and have not done so yet, please make sure that the key admin or the owner of your facility has taken the new business training, which you can find that training on the scheduler, which is on the Oklahoma partner page of metrc.com. So metrc.com/Oklahoma. You can go sign up for training. We offer it once a day, every week. So you can go and take one of those trainings. Once you do take that training, you will reach out to Metrc support, give them your information as far as your license number, your name, and a few other areas, and then make sure you're putting in the subject line that you are reaching out for credentials. And then once we confirm that that person is, number one, an owner or key admin, and also that they've taken the training, we'll send them a what we call our welcome email, welcome Metrc email. That email will include a link that you can use, and it'll be good for 24 hours to set up your personal profile. Again, if it does expire, you just have to reach out to support and they'll send you a new link. So not too much of a hassle there if you do miss it, but just want to flag that. But once you do go through that link, you'll see that you are brought to your information where you set up your account. So you'll set up your password and your security questions. And then once you do set up your user profile, you'll set up your business profile. So once you receive that Metrc administrator credentials, you would add facilities. So if you do have multiple facilities and you're owner or at key admin for multiple facilities, you do not have to create a new account. You don't have to have separate logins for all those facilities. You can have one facility, and then you would add all your facilities underneath that one login. So you'll be able to actually switch. We'll show you that when we get to the demo, but you're able to switch between them without logging out and logging back in. And once you do add in each of your facilities, for each of those facilities, you will have to add your employees, your strains, your items, your locations. So the way that works is, so if you think about the analogy there, you're getting your keys for all of your office spaces, and then you got to go in and then, put the furniture in and hire the folks. You can add employees, strains, and locations across multiple facilities. So if you have common folks in there, then for the employees, then you can add them across multiple licenses. Permission for each facility type. So they're all dependent on what is allowed by regulation. So not everyone has access to plants. Only cultivators have that. Or dispensaries, you're the only ones that have the ability to sell. So there's a few different areas there, but the other piece of that is also the reports. Those are all that dependent on what your permissions are. All right, set up a product profile. So you're going to create your items, which, some of these items are here, and I'll show you in the next slide all the items that are available. You won't necessarily have to use too much of this because you will be receiving these products with the items already created, but it is good to know how to do so. But the categories are set up by the state, and once they are set up, the purpose of those is that they're categorized correctly, but also they may require different information depending on what kind of item it is. All right, so we'll talk through some of the admin stuff, and then we will move on to the demo, and we're going to show you it directly in our demo environment. All right, item names is what you use to identify what kind of type of item is in that package. You cannot just create a name that's just going to be very simple, and it can't be a product category, right? You can't just put edibles in there. It has to be more specific than that. We would encourage you to be as specific as possible. If you do have similar items that, maybe one's a 5-pack, one's a 3-pack, but a similar type item, you would want to denote that's a 5-pack versus a 3-pack in that item name. That's helpful, one, for the inspectors when they're coming in, that they're able to easily identify what those items are and what they're looking for, but also, too, it's helpful on your end for your employees to have a clear idea of what the items are. Also, too, you cannot combine items, different item types under one item. So you can't create a gift basket item that combines, 4 different types of product and create an item doing that. All of the packages need to be item specific, so you can't have multiple items combined into one as part of a package. So this is all the item categories that are allowed currently within Oklahoma. As you see, there's a large list here. We'll talk about how you can select these. But if you do have any questions on what something should be categorized, that would be a question for OMMA. Locations. All right, so you will have to create some locations within your dispensaries. These can be as broad as a room. So you think about it as a room. So maybe you have a couple vaults, you have those there, but you can also be more granular if you'd like. If you want to have it be a little bit more organized, you can make that granular and make specific sections of the room. The key here is that definitely when you have inspectors in place, you need to be able to identify what each room means. So as long as you know what each means, that's really the end goal here. All right, so we're gonna flip over to the demo environment here. We're gonna be in a dispensary. We'll go to our, so top right here, you'll see that little arrow. That's actually where you can't see it on this account because it's not an admin, but this is how you would add additional facilities under your license. You would select it'll say add facilities, you'll select that, you'll enter your license numbers that you're adding, and then they appear under your account. You'll notice here, if you select that little arrow there, those are all the licenses associated to this account. So you'll be able to switch between them fairly easily. All right. So we'll go over to admin. So first you want to add your employees. Alrighty. So you'll be, I would assume, mainly dealing in unlicensed employees. The only licensed employees, the difference is that licensed employees have a license number from the state that is passed to us through Thentia. The only ones that are currently being passed to us are transport agents. So you're probably going to be dealing with mostly unlicensed employees. So you'd select that, put in their first name, last name, and then month and year of birth, a birthday, month, and year. And then you can enable online access if they are working in Metrc, but if they're not touching Metrc, you do not have to give them access. You can uncheck that box. Assuming you're probably going to, most of them are going to be needing to use Metrc or have access to Metrc. You put in their email, their phone number, and they'd select the home page there. One thing I'll just note there, if you set that home page as something that they don't actually have permission to, you'll run into some issues. So just make sure whatever you select their home page to be, that it is in fact something they can have access to. But you see here that they have you have the ability to add to multiple facilities for each employee, but then also too you have the different permissions you have. Be able to view the package grid, manage inventory, add notes to packages, those kinds of things. And then the admin menu is probably where you need to have the most control over, just to make sure that no one is, especially with the employees, because we have seen in the past where a disgruntled employee will get let go and no one's removed their access, and they can go in here and they'll kick everyone else out except for them, so no one can do anything in Metrc. So that could cause some serious business issues. So try to avoid that. All right. Next, we'll talk quickly about locking and unlocking employees. So you can lock and unlock employees temporarily if you need to. So maybe they're on vacation and you don't want them accessing the system, maybe because they're workaholic, maybe because you just don't want them messing around. But you can lock them temporarily and then unlock them at will. But if they are let go, we would recommend using on the far right-hand side, either disable or the all. So you can we'll disable them in that particular facility. All will kick them out of all the facilities you've access to the employee permission that, in addition to that they're also in. So that's employees. Next, we will go up and we will add locations here. All right, so you're probably gonna have not quite as many locations as maybe a grower would, but you will have to have at least some of these here. So we already have a product vault, sales floor, transfer vault. You can add locations to multiple facilities at once if you have similar terminology between the different dispensaries or even just different licenses. Location type, you're going to be looking at default location type. That's going to be pretty straightforward. Just gives you the ability to do anything you need to in that location. All right, that's locations. So once you do that, you will add your strains and your items. So start with strains. You always want to go strains before items in case there are any items you're creating that do require strain. If you don't create those strains beforehand, you won't be able to create those items. So for a strain, we will put in, let's see, we have Blue Dream in there. Okay, you'll put in Oklahoma Thunder here. Yep, perfect. So the testing status, that indicates if you've tested this product in-house, not at all, or by a third party, which indicates where you get the information on the right-hand side with the THC, CBD, indica, and sativa. I just want to be very clear, the indica and sativa, THC, and CBD, that has no bearing on the test results. It's really more of a marker if you want a quick reference of all the different strains you have available and what those THC and CBD are. Again, you can add multiple strains across all of your facilities. But again, you don't have to enter anything in for the THC and CBD if you do not want to. So we'll go ahead and create this strain. Alrighty. And then we'll go to our admin menu again and go to items. Alrighty. So we'll go ahead and just add an item for flour. We'll go Oklahoma flour dash Oklahoma City. So again, we always recommend it's nice to have just the item category in there if it's a strain specifically. And then also too, if you have prepacks, flour or something else, just put the denomination in there as well. So, it would be 3.5 grams or 7 or something like that. So notice here he's selecting the flowers and buds category. And that's when it says it may change what you need to enter. So you'll see that strain there. Unit measure will go grams. But you'll see here, this pick list is what we just saw on the strains screen. So Oklahoma Thunder, grams, create the item. And that is how you create items in Metrc. And we'll talk a little bit more about how, the need for, if you need to actually create those items necessarily for packages that are kind of coming in. So we'll fall back over to the presentation here. We'll talk tags and tracking. So there's two types of tags, track and Metrc. There's a plants and packages. So plants are the immature, vegetative, flowering, and then all plants, the antithesis for the immature plant batches. But those immature plant batches actually aren't tagged. But you're going to be really concerned, where you're really going to be mainly focused is the packages, or it's solely focused on the packages. Those can be created from immature plants, which kind of clones, or harvest batches, which obviously is raw plant material, or from other packages, which may be infused products or other sort, maybe a concentrate of some sort. Chain of custody here. So this is kind of the life cycle of a package tag or of the tag. So you start with an immature plant that gets a unique identifier that's not a tag. It's a immature plant batch name that's entered by the user. And then that will, once it moves to vegging, that's when they all receive their own plant tag. And then that tag will stay with it through the flowering phase, where it goes to the harvest batch, where the harvest batch ID will connect the packages to the plant. So the harvest batch, again, is not tagged. It's got a unique identifier that's provided by the licensee that it harvested it. Once that is dried and cured, they will package it up using a package tag. And then again, really want to be clear on this. When it's transferred and received, that package tag doesn't need to be changed. The package tag remains the same. The system knows that that package went from that particular licensee to your license. And we track that number throughout the process, which we'll talk about when we get to transfers. All right, so we do have plant tags and package tags. Plant tags at 45 cents, package tags at 25 cents. Reason for the higher cost of the plants is that they have to be UV resistant, water resistant, just in general more durable to hold up against the rigors of the cultivation facility. But the package tag here, you'll see down here on the top bottom right, that has the test, there's your facility name, your facility number, the state name, as well as a 24 character alphanumeric code here, which is that unique identifier. And that is actually, it's actually trimodal, because you actually have you have it written out, you have a barcode, and then you also have the RFID chip that is engraved with that information as well. It's also perforated at the bottom here, so it's got peel and stick backing and a perforated bottom part. Peel and stick backing, if you want to put that on a package of some sort. Peel and stick, we see that used a lot in keeping in the sales floor to match it up with the package you have in the back. The key is that whatever you do with the top part, that is technically the part that you absolutely need to have on the package, as that has all the information and the RFID. All right. We'll flip over here real quick, and so we'll go to show you how the tag orders works. So you go into tag orders. new tag order. You put in how many package tags you need, and then you will enter in your information. You can also copy from whatever's in the licensing file if that actually is still accurate. And then we accept credit card and money orders. So, or check or money orders. Credit card is the recommended approach just because we won't ship any tags until we receive that check or money order. So there could be a little bit more of a delay there if you go that approach. The other thing I will note here, so that's how you order the tags, is that once you order them, and it gets shipped, you will be able to receive them on the far right-hand side. Just because they shipped and you can receive them does not mean you should. If you receive them before they come in, they will go into your active inventory, which you can go over to that. So your tags will go into your active inventory and you may end up using them and assigning them before you actually have them on hand, and that can lead to some logistical nightmares of having to go through and find those tags again. So this is how you can view all the tags you have in your inventory. The tags don't go bad, so you can order as many as you want and you can use them throughout the course of your license. So if you did order a large amount at the outset, those are still good. So, or they should be still good. Okay, so we're gonna flip back over to packages. So packages defined. So anything that's gonna be sold, that's a package. And we'll need eventually, after the beginning of inventory phase, a package tag on it. Each tag is a unique identified tag created by Metrc. And so if it is gonna be transferred, so even though it may not be tagged, if it is gonna have to be transferred, then definitely need to tag it because it needs to use, system needs that information in order to make that transfer. And then you're also allowed to repack any package into a new package as well. All right, so we are going to jump back over to the demo and show you package tracking. All righty, so we'll go to our packages, see what we have in there. All right, we got a good amount of product here, and a lot of it test passed actually. So just a couple notes on Metrc in general while we're on this page. You can see these three dots next to each of these columns. That's our columnar sorting. So if you select a column, if you click on the column bar, it'll change the sort to ascending or descending, and then you'll also be able to edit the columns here. To see different information, get rid of information you don't feel is necessary. And then you also have the ability to filter. So for this, these are tags, so it's just ends with or includes. But for some of the other ones, you can also get contains, does not contain type information. And that's the filter. And then one of the things I'll note here is the little printer button on the top right, that is the export functionality. So you can export to PDF or Excel, and anytime you see that, when you do hit that export button, that will export whatever you're looking at. So all the columns, all the entries will all be passed to you in either a PDF or an Excel. So it is very helpful that you can sort and filter and find a data set you particularly want to look into, and you can memorialize that with an export. Last thing I'll note here is the carets you see on the far left. Anytime you see that, that's going to be able to give you the ability to look at additional information. So you're actually looking at, you can look at history for packages, which will show you exactly what's going on here. And then you can go to your lab results as well. So the lab results will show you all of the lab results there. This is dummy data, so it's not quite as varied as most of this test will be. The other thing I'll flag here is if you scroll all the way to the right on the table for the lab test results. Scroll to the right. All right. On the far right hand side, you'll be able to see a doc button. That'll be where they can upload the COAs if they choose to do so. So the good news about how this works is, even though you're not getting this product tested, the testing information will be available to you as the dispensary with it into your possession. You also, if they did upload the COA, be able to pull that as well. And also too with the history, so you can look at the history as well. So that'll show you who did what with this package. Everything's timestamped. But the only thing I'll note here is the date for date versus reported. So date means what you input in as the date of the action. Reported is when you actually did the action or when you input that action into Metrc. So we'll close this down. And we're going to talk about transfers. All right, transfers. Anytime a package moves to another facility, it's going to have to create what we call a license transfer. That license transfer process, you'll generate a manifest that can be used to ship that to where you need to go for. So the only pieces here is the ability to reject packages. So if you do receive a shipment of packages and you do not like the way things looked or one looks short, I would recommend you reject that package individually, as you do not want to accept that into your inventory, because then you lose that's in your inventory. Now you'll be responsible if there's any discrepancies in what the weight is of the package you now have versus what was stated that it should be. If you do reject a package, that gets sent automatically back to the shipper, and the manifest itself will reflect that it was being returned. This kind of will walk through, kind of show you what this looks like in Metrc, but basically you have the ability to reject a package individually, or you can reject all of the packages within that transfer. So if you do that, you will have to put a rejection reason and a note there. We always recommend using the notes, because not only is it helpful for OMMA to look into it and be able to identify why you might have done something, but it's also helpful for you all if you are a manager of some sort and you have an employee that did something 6 months ago and OMMA is asking about it and they're no longer with the company. You're going to have at least a little bit more documentation to know a little bit what's going on. So if you're on the flip side, I don't see any reason why you'd be receiving a rejected package. But if you do, you'd also have to input the rejected reason as well to indicate your side of the story, pretty much. And a note. All right, transfer tracking. So we're going to flip back over to the demo environment. So there's a few different kinds of, so we have a license transfer and external transfer. So if you have done any beginning inventory, you would be familiar with the external transfer. But the license transfer is a business to a business. A external transfer is product coming from outside of Metrc into Metrc, which is why we're using it as the beginning inventory process. So incoming, so you notice here, these are all grayed out. That means they've been completed, but let's go down to the one that hasn't been grayed out here, the OK mismatch. Yeah, exactly. Receive that. All right. So when you receive a package, you'll have to put in the location that you're going to be putting it into. So if you click that little magnifying glass, you can get a little pick list of all the options there, or conversely, you can use a autocomplete kind of feature we have here. So this is where you can reject it. So if you did want to reject, you'd select that. You'd have to put a rejection reason. So say, typing entry error maybe. And then you'd be required to put a note in and explain the situation. So you have 255 characters to make that, to add that note in there. For this purposes, we're not going to reject it. We're going to accept that into our system. You notice that that's now grayed out. And if we go to our packages, you will see that item there now. All righty. Last thing we'll touch on with transfers, we'll talk about external transfers. So if you are bringing in product into Metrc, you'll have to be using the external transfer process. So you'll go to transfers, you go to external, you'll go to incoming, and then new transfer. Your type's going to be beginning inventory. Phone number, planned route, beginning inventory. It's not coming from anywhere, so just I'll put something there. But in all of our transfers, the planned route field is required, so you do have to put something into that free-form text field. You put your estimated departure, your estimated arrival, and then you would put whatever package what the item names are that you will be transferring in. So basically just put the package information there. So the item name and then the amount. So in this case, do we have any vapes in there? Or what do we have in there? Let's use the magnifying glass and see what we have. All right, a lot of buds. Let's see if we can find a concentrate. So go up to type. All right, we got Joe's concentrate. Fantastic. All right, so we're gonna bring in some of that. Make it 100 grams. And then if you have to add multiple packages at once, you can use this little plus button. And then we'll add in, just throw a Blue Dream flower in there. And we'll see that's 300 grams. And now I'll register my transfer. At this point, you'll see that beginning inventory transfer. You can complete that on the far right. You can also edit or void. So the edit and void here have available when you do transfer out. You can edit or void, so that's why it's really helpful for you all, for your dispensaries. You see something wrong with the manifest, that's the beauty of Metrc, it's real time. So if they create a manifest, you can go look at it and we'll complete this transfer real quick. And then we'll go back and I'll show you transfer manifest and we'll talk through that. Tag sequence. So again, you will look for it. So like I said, if you do receive those tags, this is where they will reside. And so again, if you do receive them before, just be very careful that you're not using them before you have them physically. And then anytime you see multiple of the same thing going on, we always have these templates. So if there's duplicate fields that may have some overlap, you would do the tag sequence, which basically knows exactly how many packages are going in there, and I'll assign them sequentially. Location, we'll put in the product vault. Again, you'll see that pop down, and then complete the transfer. So now if I go to my packages, I'll see that in my inventory. Yep. And you'll notice here that these are the only two without a source harvest or source package. So at the end of the beginning inventory period, so during this time, you are able to transfer product that carries a non-submitted status. However, you see that here, the not submitted. However, at some point they will only be allowed to be test passed, and retest passed product in Metrc. So the understanding with the not submitted was that these products already been tested. They don't necessarily need to test it again. They just have to put some information in under the package to be able to verify that it does actually have a COA with the lab. All right. And then the last thing we'll show you is just the transfer manifest. So we'll go back to the transfers and we'll go to incoming. We can go view manifest there. Yeah. So this one's actually completed, I believe. So you might see a little bit more green than typical of an active. All right, so you'll see here, this is the marijuana transportation manifest. So you'll see the originating entity, originating license number, the address of the originating entity and destination. This is a demo environment, so we don't have any address in there, but that will pre-populate on this. You don't have to enter that in. Your date of approximate date and time of departure and arrival. Any notes there you can list there. The transporter license number, so the actual business license that you are going through for the delivery of it and transfer. Again, that information will be populated with the licensing feed. And then you'll have the information about the individual that it's actually transporting. So the name of the person is transporting, their driver's license, make, model, employee ID. So the transport agent ID goes there. That's really more along the lines of their number. So T, those T numbers basically. And then outside of that, you'd see your packages here that are on the manifest. So obviously this one's been accepted. So that's actually a very faint green. Probably have to see on the screen. But you'll see the lab test passes on there, source harvest, the item details, which is the strain, the item name, and then the quantity shipped. So that is transfers in a nutshell. Yep, there you go. So I showed you this earlier, but you're able to look at all the lab test results as they go in. Well, for you, it shouldn't be just going in, but if as they go in, you'll be able to see them, or if you have you receive product in that was tested within Metrc, you will be able to see all this information, like I stated before. Alrighty, we're going to talk some sales now. So recording the sales in Metrc is really the last step of that supply chain. That's where basically everything ends as far as packages go. For that, you will need to know like the date, the package tag number, the total quantity sold, the unit of measure, and the total price. So you can use point sales system, which we do see very common at the dispensary level. So do we have any questions on sales? Well, and then we'll walk you through how you can actually enter sales in Metrc if you're in a pinch, because you can add sales receipts directly in Metrc. So you go in to your sales. So flip back to the. Yep, there you go. So if you go to your sales. Go to active, go to the active sales. All right, so you see here, this is how you can record sales receipts. So you can click record sales receipt, put the date. You'd want whether it's a patient or a caregiver, depending on what you select. So if it's a patient, you have to put their patient number. If it's a caregiver, you have to put probably, I believe, both. But you put in your patient number, you select your package that you're pulling out of. Say we'll sell 1 gram for $80. Alrighty, and then you can also add additional packages to each sale with that little plus package button. But we're going to do that here, and then we're going to complete the sale. So you just saw that we are getting a feed of patient numbers from Authentia. So if you do enter a patient that's incorrect, you will get flagged that that patient number is incorrect. Not to fear, you are able to edit sales receipts to correct anything that may have happened there. So if you want to edit it, you would select it and click edit. And you are able to change the patient number, or if you had accidentally selected the wrong item or maybe the wrong quantity, you're able to go back and update that sale. So excited that. And then the last thing I'll mention here is when you're going through, you are going to want to verify, especially if you're using point of sale system, that all the information is coming across correctly. One easy way to do that is to do what we call finalizing sales receipts. So finalizing sales receipts is a way to number one, move any sales receipts that you've confirmed are good to go. You can finalize them, and then that moves them to then inactive tab. This is also very helpful for system performance. The longer you're in business, the more, if you're not finalizing those receipts will pile up. And once you hit a certain threshold, it's going to really slow down your performance. So I would encourage you to periodically go through and just finalize the ones that you feel comfortable doing so, to make sure that you're not running into that issue. So that is, and then if you need to unfinalize, you can unfinalize them as well. If you go to active, and again, if you hit the caret here, you can see actually all the sales off of, keep drilling down. You'll see the history here and the lab results as well. You see the lab results as well. Alrighty, so that was sales. Back over here. So like I mentioned, you can edit the sales receipts as well. Sales receipts, like I showed you, if you pop that open, you're able to look at all the packages that are included in there, and then you can even drill down those packages to see more information about them. Edit sales sheets, we went over that. This is what it looks like when you edit it. All right, now we're going to talk quickly about waste disposal. So if you're going to create any waste disposal packages, you should be creating a waste item. So you need an item that you're going to be able to package that into. So as far as how detailed you want to be with that, it's up to you. But the bottom line, you do have a waste item type, or a waste item under the plant waste type, MMJ type. So we are going to, I believe we will have to go add that item. So we'll add that item here. And then basically what you will do is you will create a package. If you are wasting something out, create a package from the original package with just whatever you're throwing out. And then you will transfer that to another facility. So if we flip back over to the demo environment, if I needed to, so let me get packages here, yeah. So if I needed to, say, for instance, throw away a couple of brownies that kind of spoiled a little bit, you would go to packages, go to active, see if we have any brownies here. We do have some brownies right there, the 4 each there with the brownies, 40 milligrams. So if you do, the main reason here is that if you do make a sale out of a package, you should not be transferring that out of your facility because you will lose the ability to edit the sales receipts. So if you shouldn't be transferring those if you have made sales out of it. But for this product vault, we have the 4 count. What we're going to do is we're going to create that and click new package. Actually, let's go to our admin first, go to our items and make sure we have a waste package available. So like I said, that column sorting is really handy. I would go to the type or go other, yeah. No, go to category and go. I don't think there is one in here, so we'll just have to add one. So go to add items. So select the category, and then we would want to do MMJ waste, and the item name will be that wouldn't be plant waste, it'd be some sort of package waste. We'll stay generic today, but if you wanted to create separate waste for different item categories, you could do that as well. Unit of measure, we'll go with eaches or grams here. So create the items. All right, now we'll go back to our packages. Active, go to those brownies there. Select new package. All right, new tag. So you're gonna have to put a tag in here. Location, wherever you're gonna be putting it. And then your item. So you do need to create a separate item here because that's really specifically for the waste. That's really important because at some point, again, when the turns off, you're not going to be able to submit, potentially not submit a product and you need to make sure it has that not required status. So you would take 4 each out. Total would be 0. You can finish the package today. Similarly to the finalizing sales receipts, finishing package is another way to help with system performance. You're not going to be able to sum it here, so you just have to put in, that's something we have to discuss is if we need to create an each-based waste item category, but unit M to 4, and then you create the package. So yeah, you were going to have to just put in 4 grams. All right, so that will finish that package. So you'll see that going away, and then you'll see that package waste is there. All righty. So that's how you would be disposing of that product at a dispensary location. Do we have any questions so far from anyone in the audience or anyone online? Yeah. So we'll get to the integration piece in a bit, and I'll explain kind of how that works. But yeah. So it's the point is that you can do it manually within the system. If there is an issue with your integrator, you would be able to do it. You can still maintain operation. It's not probably going to be as seamless as you may have with a POS system, but you can still record sales if you do have an integrator go down. That's really the main reason we show that. All right. So if the tag gets damaged or misplaced, you would. So I mean, I guess the question it really depends. Are you saying at the facility itself, at your facility? No, you're not. No, you would just you just repackage it and add a new package tag. So we'll talk about that right now. So if you go to packages, say for instance, let's see here, if you had, so we did want to talk through. We'll get to that. So basically, just when you go to the package, you basically pick the package because you should still know at least what it is and what the tag number would be that you're missing. So you'd select that package. Let's pick this Pineapple Express buds over here. Um, yeah, pick one. Anyone's works. All right. So we'll select that one. We'd select new package. And basically all we're going to do is we're just going to create a new package with all of the, similar to what we just did with the waste, but we're going to just do same item, right? So one of the things that's really unique to dispensaries that you don't necessarily have to create a lot of your own items because all those items and that information will be passed to you with the package that you're receiving from a wholesaler. So you don't necessarily need to create those items because you can select the same item and all of that information will just transfer. So you just indicate, and so when you are creating new packages, what's on the right, that's the source package. So in this case, yep, you see that magnifying glass, it'll show you all the information about it. So you're going to take, so, you know, we need to look at how much is in there, 44.5 grams. So put 44.5 grams in there. You'd finish that package. And then you would use the little sum button there. So if you do notice that, if you can use that sum if you have multiple packages feeding into one or something like that, or even just one-to-one, it'll just avoid any maybe arithmetic or issues or potential entry error. Package date today, and then you create that package. So that would be how you would replace the tag if you missed or lost it as missed. As long as you knew which package it was, you'd be able to do that. Let me get to one of the online questions and I'll come back to you.
So first one, when placing products into Metrc, are there any requirements as far as timeline requirements for the testing that's been done to it?
So the testing piece there, that's more of an OMMA question as far as what those time limits are and how that's going to work. But the way that we are operating is that you would be need to enter in some information when you do bring it in as beginning inventory to indicate where that COA could be found, so that's all outlined in the beginning inventory document that we've put out recently. We do have available online as well in the Metrc Knowledge Center, which we'll talk about at the end of the session. Okay, yeah, we'll kick back here. The batch number, so I mean it'll have the tag number on it, it'll have the production batch number on it. It will potentially have it'll have the source harvest, it'll have a lot of that information. We'll talk about we'll show you the transfer manifest and we can kind of talk through that. I know there are some things that we're working through with the OMMA as far as some of the things they've identified on the manifest, and we'll talk through that. But some of the guidance we did get there was that if you are using the Metrc manifest, that they understand that there may be some information that's not on there, and they're not going to be and I don't want to speak for OMMA, but that was the direction we were given yesterday from OMMA. Yep. Okay. Yep. Absolutely. So they're accepting the Metrc manifest is what they're saying. Okay. So that's any other questions?
Yeah, so does existing inventory, we have quite a few questions on this. So does existing inventory bought before Metrc implementation require a package tag to be assigned, or is it just the inventory received after May 28th?
So as far as, and I think that's kind of along the timelines of what was in the order, I think those are more OMMA questions. But when you are bringing it in through the external transfer process, you would require a tag to be associated to it. And then we'll keep rolling with the questions.
Yeah, so then if we receive products with tags from a processor, can we sell right from those package tags?
Yes, absolutely. So we'll get, so yeah, that's how it works. So just actually a good example of this. So we'll go to, what did we sell out of? I think we sold out of the, all right, we'll look at sales here. If we go to sales receipts, when you go to your sales receipts, you'll look in there, active. If you drill down on any of these sales receipts, you'll see the package associated to it. You can drill down on that even more. You'll see the history there. So you'll see, okay, this came from another package and then it just sold directly from there. So if you do have, if you just transfer it in, you can use that tag, and that tag, it'll just sell out of it and deduct from it automatically from the sale. Okay, and
that's it.
Okay, perfect. All right, so yep, so we did, and then we went over, there's a waste disposal option for the transfer. So if you do have to send that off, there's a specific transfer type for that. Reports. For the reports, you're going to really be mainly looking at the sales stuff. So we'll flip back over. Go to your reports. And I just want to note again, if you are looking at something like, so sales receipts, if you're looking for a particular date range, you have that monthly sales. You have your package adjustments, which is a big one there. And I'll flip back over and I'll kind of show you what the adjustment looks like. Package inventory. Package sales. So if you're looking at particular items or item categories and what those sales were, you can pull that out. Sales transactions out, pull all your transactions, as well as any transfers you had coming in. And I would just note here that again, if we flip back over to the packages, I do want to just quickly show you how to adjust for things. And again, I'll note here on the sales aspect or any of the reports, you do have the ability to export. So if you do get, you can go, if you do find some information in a specific data set you want to export, always remember you can use that little printer sign there. Also too, if you wanted to adjust, you would just hit adjust. So potentially maybe there's something spilled and you lose some product, right? So you just enter in what the new quantity is, or you can also do it the other way and put in -20 or whatever have you. You have to put a reason code in there here. So you could potentially it might be spoilage or something like that. You'll have to put a required note in, so just indicate Alex spilled whatever it was. Well, this would be theft. That would be theft. Yes, go spilled. And then we go adjust the date tier, and then it'll adjust the package down. The package adjustment report is important to note if you are kind of looking at it from a manager perspective or an owner perspective, being able to identify if there's a particular employee that seems to adjust a little bit more than others. That's actually the reason why that was initially developed back in several years ago. But you'll notice here that's in the package history, so it's all being tracked. And you'll also notice here the employee, the date, who reported it, and then if it was done through an API or input through a user source. So if it's an API, it'll say the source API, and then it'll say the external application. We'll talk a little bit more about how that's all tied together with the integrators after we get to, next. So we've gone through packages, we've gone through transfers. So actually, we'll talk about a little bit about the transfers piece here. So if you are receiving them, the incoming transfers. So we went through all of these. So you receive those as well. So that's really how you bring in product in as affiliated. But again, if you are bringing product into the inventory it's going to be the external transfer process. And then the only thing I'll actually mention here, if we cut back to notes is, or packages, is just the notes. You do have the ability to add notes to packages as well. So you would select it, you would change notes, and then that will, you can put the note in there if you need to do so, and then you change the notes, and then you will, if you drill down in the history there, you'll see the notes in the history. So note example. All right. Flip back over to the, yep, there you go. Integration. So this is a pretty big one for you all as dispensaries because as you're probably aware, there's a real-time reporting tool. So you're probably using a point of sale system right now. So integrators, we do have a list of our validated integrators online at our Metrc, metrc.com/Oklahoma. So that's state partner page. That's a great resource to be able to look in to see where, who has integration or validated through us and what they can do in what areas. So specifically for you, you're going to be looking for sales, right? So you want to make sure that they have the ability to process sales. A couple of things here. There is some areas, people that will say you don't have to have a login in Metrc. That may sometimes be the case, but you can't receive, you don't have to log in Metrc for a lot of things, but you do have to receive transfers through Metrc. And additionally to that, even if you don't have to log in Metrc too much, you do want to log into Metrc because at the end of the day, those records need to match, or the Metrc records need to be what's accurate because that's what OMMA is looking at. So you need to go in, especially if you're starting off in the new integrator, make sure you're going in and checking to see if all of the records are matching what's in your POS system, so that there's no discrepancies there, because that can lead to some issues there. So we always recommend, daily or a couple times a day, just checking on the receipts, make sure those are coming across correctly, as well as any information there. One thing we always run into seeing is potentially a point of sale system will be pulling from a package of one of an item. It'll hit the 0 on that package, and it doesn't switch over to another package of the same type, and then you end up going to a negative. So then you end up having to adjust all those, adjusting all those sales receipts to switch up the package that it came from. So that's one area that you can always check on. An easy way to check for any negative packages, if you just go to your packages and go to the amounts and you just click it twice, it'll give you the descending order and you'll see any that might be in the negative. And if you see any negative packages, it could be the fact that it might need to be adjusted, but it also could be the fact that it may have just not switched over. And that's an easy adjustment or edit of the sales receipt that you can do. If you ever run into that issue, you can always reach out to Metrc support and they're happy to walk you through how that works. But additionally to that, we can talk a little bit about the process there. So we have all of the documentation for the integrators at api-oklahoma, ok.metrc.com/documentation. And then they can look there for where the endpoints are and how those work. But as far as our validation goes, they have to sign an API agreement with the state to get that they'll be operating in good faith. And that once we confirm that they have signed that with OMMA, then they'll take a training class. And then from there, they will perform the validation process, basically showing us in a sandbox environment that they can do what they say they can. And then from there, we'll give them an API key. That API key does not work without an API key from a licensee. So once you have that API key, once they have that API key, they can go and pursue some of your business. But they won't be able to do anything or access anything until they're provided with an API key. To generate an API key, if we just flip back over to the demo environment, you'd go up to the top right here, all the way to the right, and the API keys. You select that. And then you would generate your API key. So just to be clear, these API keys are tied to individuals. They're not tied to businesses. So if you have multiple bud tenders that are in there, you're going to need to make sure you generate API keys for all of them and then pass that to your integrator so that they can tie those API keys to their logins in your third-party system. Otherwise, it'll look like one person's making all the sales. So if you click generate the API key, you'll get the API key right there. And then if you do run into any issues with the integrator, if you want to cut that access off at any point, all you need to do is generate a new API key and they would lose access. All right. So again, kind of just talking about API, application programming interface, allows for two programs to talk to each other. They can take data from, we can take data in from them, or we can pass data to the vendors. So they can oftentimes will pull, reconciliations. They'll do gets to make sure that some of them will do this to make sure the inventories are matching in both systems. But they'll also post, sales, different things like that. And then, so that's the API at a high level. Any questions on anything so far? Nope. Okay. All right. So we're gonna finish up here with support here. All right. So support resources. We really harp on our support team and allowing them. We have about 70 folks on that support line. They support industries across the country. They're really great. If you've dealt with them, they're super. They try to be as helpful as they can be. If they're level 1 and they don't know the answer, they will go to a level 2 and find an answer for you. And if it has to get escalated up, it will be until we get the answer for you and get back to you. So for the support, we do have the supplemental guide under the support tab. Do you see the Metrc user manual? And then there'll also be links for the training videos, as well as the support contact information. Support is available 6 days a week via phone or email. I believe the times are 9 a.m. Central Time to 7 p.m. And then addition to that, they also have the Metrc Knowledge Centers. That's where we store all of our bulletins and additional content there that we've posted over to the industry. You can search for different bulletins there for keywords. You're also able to submit requests. So you actually can submit tickets directly from there, or you can use the live chat feature that's on that page. If you do use the traditional sense, there's the email and the support line. Anytime you do reach out to support, you will receive a Metrc ticket number. That's helpful for you just to be able to reference it. You can actually track that. So if you do sign up for the Metrc Knowledge Center, you can actually track tickets directly on there. So you don't have to call in or email to find out where something is. You can actually look at the status. The ticket number is really great because it gives you a reference point. And not only we document everything as far as the support goes, so that's helpful for you as well as the state to know what was said and what advice was given. So if you do run into any issues where something may have gone wrong in the system, please reach out to support line. They're there to help you try to fix it, right? And then if you're reaching out to fix it, that's something you can fall back on if the state ever asks what happened. Well, we messed up and we fixed it, right? And then they have that support number, or support ticket number that you can give them, and they can follow up with us, and we can show them, exactly how we helped you out. And then additionally to that, we have the Metrc Learn, which anyone that's in person has signed up for. That's a really great new tool that we rolled out at the beginning of the year that allows you to sign up for trainings. You can actually do any of the trainings on demand as opposed to doing it on the scheduler. But in addition to that, you have the ability to use the interactive modular-based training we have, which is more basic functionality, kind of general functionality that's used throughout all of our states, so not as state specific. But you can do some interactive modules where you actually click through and perform the actions that they show you. And that actually leads to some badges that you can get, and you can do different journeys. So if you want to check out functionality around plants, you can do it there as well. But it is a really cool tool that we're rolling out here. So that's really all the ways we're trying to support you. Again, we're really here to help, assist you, and support you as much as we can to be a well-regulated industry and make sure you have everything you need. So that's about everything that I've covered here today. So I want to thank you for coming out, and then we'll pause for any additional questions that might have come up. Yes.
So if we had set up the metric before everybody else, we had accepted transfers that came in. So say if we got flour 6 months ago, go back to the lawsuits integrate at the moment, and those packages are still in our inventory right now, but we no longer have those packages.
Mhm.
So what do we do with those existing?
So those sales should have been reported on the monthly reports, which they were. That then you should be fine. That you would zero those out. You'd adjust those down. There's a beginning inventory reconciliation. So the question is if I have packages from 6 months ago that I already sold out before I got back into Metrc, the answer is there is a specific adjustment reason for beginning inventory reconciliation that you should use and just adjust it down to zero and finish it out. So that's it's pretty straightforward. Yeah, absolutely. So that was flip over back over to the packages. So I did show you how to adjust. So it's the same process. If you spelled it, you're just adjusting it down to zero, but we'll do that here. All right, go to active. So say that CO2 distillate, so we'll adjust this down. Yeah, go to one of the small ones. Yeah, adjust that down. Reason code, so just down to zero. Beginning inventory reconciliation. Optional note, maybe if you want to, you can put it when it's sold out, something like that if you want to. Yeah, 2/25, yeah. And then adjustment date today, and then you finish the package. So really straightforward. You want to make that, clear that inventory out, get the new inventory in. It should be pretty straightforward. Any questions from online, Rob?
No.
Okay. Alrighty, here. Okay, well, that about does it for us today. Again, my name is Brent Doherty. I'm a program manager here at Metrc. I want to thank my friend, my fellow program manager up in the booth, Alex, who's been walking us through this whole time. And I want to thank everyone here for showing up here today. I know the weather's been tough, but also for everyone online, remember if you haven't already signed up for Metrc training and getting credentialed, make sure to do so. But other than that, we will wrap the meeting here today, and we'll see everyone here if you're a transporter here in about an hour. So thanks everyone.